Hey, this is Kristen with Collision Hub, and we're at the ASA headquarters in Bedford, Texas, and we've stopped by today to talk a little bit about ASRW and some of the things that are going to be changing in the industry, which we are just super excited about being in Orlando this year for ASRW and NACE. We've got Ron Pyle with us and Lindsey Roberts, and we're going to talk a little bit about the changes. Guys, the announcement was amazing. I think we were doing, I'm not going to lie, we were doing cartwheels in the Collision Hub office to find out we were going to Orlando. But tell me a little bit how that change came to be and how we arrived at that decision.
Well, it wasn't easy. Lindsey will back me up on this. It was a gut-wrenching decision, and primarily because there's a big financial implication. We wanted to get out of Las Vegas last year, leaving Las Vegas, the theme, for a couple of years now, because it was very obvious the audience, is tired of going back to the same location. And although Las Vegas will absolutely be a part of our future plans, I'm sure, because when we have been there in the past, after a period of time when we're not there, the regional audience comes in. So it just makes a lot of sense for that to be the sort of the West Coast hub for a new traveling NACE and ASRW.
Well, and for the show management team at Hanley Wood, we've been listening to the audience for years since we moved the show to Las Vegas in 2004, but unfortunately we didn't have the luxury to just move that show out of Las Vegas. We were committed to AAIW, so now we actually have the ability to give the audience what they've asked for a couple of years. So that was exciting to hear what they had to say and to be able to make that change. I think we got pretty lucky this year with all of the cards falling into place and getting space in Orlando 10 months before the show takes place in a major convention city during one of the busiest times for trade shows was nearly impossible. So the fact that we made all of that happen, we just felt like the stars aligned, and it was the right thing for us to do.
Now, there are companies already committing, and vendors are already rolling in for the show in Orlando. And so what's some of the feedback you're getting from them?
There are great feedback. Right now, all of us at Hanley Wood love answering our phone. So it's so exciting to answer the phone from the attendees, from the exhibitors. Really exciting. The vendors were some of the first phone calls we got. I think it was a Thursday that we made the announcement. We had contracts in-house in our office with deposits on Friday. So really, really exciting. We're going to see some new business from people who haven't participated in the show since 2003. Wow. There were some people that were a little turned off when we decided to go to Vegas permanently in 2004. So I think we've already got 10 companies committed, contracts in, since we made the date announcement that haven't exhibited for 7 years. So that's huge. They're excited. People want to see new faces, and I think a geographical rotation will help us accomplish that.
The change to Orlando has put us back on the traditional show days.
Thank you. Yes.
We're back to having a weekend in the show, and I think
Thursday,
the weekend
Friday,
is
Saturday.
huge to bringing in that local regional audience. They can come in on their day off.
Especially in Orlando. The drive-in isn't quite the same in Las Vegas. You get a lot from California, but that's not a day trip. So very exciting that we could get. That was another thing that was a little concerning when we went to Orlando. I basically told them I have 1 week that I'm willing to do the show in based on our survey results and other competitive shows. And then I also said I need this amount of space, a ton of meeting rooms, a nice chunk of hotel rooms. And by the way, I have to have a Thursday, Friday, Saturday show. So the thought that that would come together for us was pretty unlikely.
Yeah, absolutely. I think God was smiling on us that day because all of those elements had to come together really for us to make the move. But to Lindsey's point, there are some downsides to it. One of the things that we unfortunately we're going to be just before the Yom Kippur Jewish holiday. That's not intentional. I mean, that's the only days we had for the show, and I hate that we have a conflict at all. And in the future, obviously, we do what we can to avoid those. But I think we've learned a very important lesson, and that is that date pattern really made more of a difference than we thought it would.
Yes.
Now, it didn't matter so much in Las Vegas because of what Lindsey described about the drive-in audience there is different. But, our traditional audience likes the date pattern. And that's what we had for, I mean, it actually was a little different back in the old rotation days, but it was just 1 day different.
Yeah, it was
but
Friday,
now,
Saturday, Sunday.
Yeah, we had a Sunday, if you remember. But now, what we've finally arrived at is this Wednesday through Saturday pattern with the education beginning on Wednesday. People just love that.
Right.
And I heard more about that than I did many of
some
the
of the
other
other
yeah,
stuff,
absolutely.
yeah.
Well, I think the great thing about it is it's tremendous value. So, if you're within a couple hours driving distance of Orlando this year, you could take a Saturday and drive a few hours and be on the show floor. And so maybe you're not going to buy a whole Congress pass and do the Thursday through Saturday education. But even if you're not signed up for that, you could buy that floor pass, get on the trade show floor on a Saturday, and there's still a lot of training and live demos that are going to be going on that floor.
Sure.
And education before the show opens.
Right.
Yeah.
So for a short investment on a one day, take a couple hours of drive and kind of get a good chance to glimpse your industry and get some training and walk away at the end of the day for really, it's a low value. I mean, it's a bargain for what
It is
it
a
just to
bargain.
buy that one day pass to get you on the floor.
Yeah.
It's still a bargain. I think that, one of the things that you get to be exposed to a lot, and Lindsey sees from a management perspective, if you look at the relative cost of attending events, conventions, trade shows, pretty much across the board, I go to others and all of you do. I really am still very concerned about the net cost to the attendee and the exhibitor.
I'll tell you, when I think about this industry, this is a small business industry. It's a family industry. So a lot of our businesses are either multi-generationally ran, or my dad did. Like for me, my dad was a repairer, and then I went to the insurance industry. But there's a big family feel around this industry. And one of the things that's different about NACE as compared to a lot of trade shows is when you're planning the event, you guys seem to take into account the family. You provide activities for the family to do while maybe a member of the family is on the trade show floor. But Orlando kind of has that feel of it's a return to family.
Yeah.
And allows that family repair to really kind of incorporate an educational event more than just a trade show. It really is more than walking the floor and looking for new products. So it's an educational event, and I get to incorporate my family in that, where maybe Vegas isn't really the right atmosphere for that.
That's actually a great point. We've already heard that since a week ago when we announced it, that oh my gosh, I can actually turn this into not just a business trip but a vacation for my family. And let's be honest, you're probably not going to bring your wife and kids out to Las Vegas. And 7 years in a row, I mean, we used to do even spouse tours, and in Las Vegas it just got to be a little.
Yeah, it's redundant. When you talk about entertainment, people, you're fighting that entire, Las Vegas strip for, entertainment value. So, it's not a family atmosphere, but on the other hand, it's glitz and glamour, and quite frankly, every few years, that's fine.
It'll be nice.
It'll be nice to return there every once in a while. And we always get such a good, West Coast kind of drive-in participation. So I anticipate that when we go back at some point, it'll be well received, because there will have been some pent-up demand built. But I think the perception that it is a professional and family-oriented event is really important, because it is. And the reason that it is, I think, has a lot to do with how it's managed, from the perspective of this organization relying heavily on our collision repair members and our mechanical repair members to tell us what they really believe was good or bad about each event.
Let's talk about size a little bit, because I think one of my misconceptions when I attended my first NACE was the misconception of you hear it's a trade show, but really I think the largest majority to me of NACE really isn't on that trade show floor. It's everything that's kind of going on around that trade show floor. Let's talk a little bit about what all is available besides if you're sitting there thinking I don't need any new equipment, I'm not interested in changing my paint, I'm fine on my tools, I don't need a frame rack. Why would so I'm not looking for anything new, but why would I still go to NACE? And there's just so much available. What are some of the things we're going to have this year?
Yeah, well, the two big things I hear, other than buying product or seeing new product, is education. That's huge for this show and in this industry, and then the networking. I mean, some of these people have been coming to the show for 25 years. They look forward to seeing their peers and collaborating with them and sharing success stories and tough times. So I think those are two of the big reasons. But for those who maybe haven't been to the show since 2003, the show, for the size of the show, it has so much going on, whether it be the trade show floor or the education. You've got over 100 educational sessions over 4 days. We've started doing industry forums for both the mechanical and the collision segment. Those were new in 2010. We'll do them in 2011. We had a town hall luncheon. We had an association summit on the show floor. We have live demonstrations, education. We have the iCar Technology Showcase. They also do education within the conference. We have an auto glass pavilion. We have the mechanical cars pavilion. We have an auto glass demo. I mean, the list goes on and on. An opening general session, a welcome reception. It's basically 4 days packed full of everything, whether it be networking, education, buying product, a lot going on.
The way you guys have it set up is that I can be an estimator, I can be a technician, I can be a shop owner, and there's a training track for me. There's classes from everything from understanding the financial management of your shop down to the hands-on hardcore, here's how you weld classes. So there's really a training class and a path for everyone. So you don't have to pick up a brochure and go, I have 100 classes to choose from. If you choose a training path, you really help put people on the right path to the knowledge they need for that show that year.
Thank you for that, because there's a lot of effort that goes into putting that together. And one of the criticisms, and I think it's fair, is that sometimes there's so much that it's hard to choose. And over the last several years, Hanley Wood and ASA have been really working hard to streamline the way that you register and that you select your classes and you find what you want. It's not easy.
Well, thanks, guys. We're going to keep checking back with you. Hopefully we'll see you out of the different events, and we'll keep getting some updates on how the show's progressing and what the floor plan looks like.
Well, thanks, Kristen. We really appreciated the opportunity. Thank you so much.
Thank you.